Croeso i'r ail sesiwn o Tyfu Ffydd, Dod â Gobaith a Dangos Cariad. Heddiw edrychwn ar ffydd a sut mae'n ffurfio ein bywydau.
Yeah, hi everybody, welcome to this second session of Grow Faith, Bring Hope and Demonstrate Love. Today we're looking at faith and how it shapes our lives. And to set the context, Bishop Gregory explains the foundation of faith in Christianity. Over to you, Bishop.
The Apostle Paul wrote many of the letters of the New Testament, and they were letters written very personally from him to the different Christian communities across the Mediterranean. One of those churches was the church at the Greek city of Corinth, and Paul wrote 2 letters to them, stuffed full of good advice about what it is to be a Christian. In his first letter to the Corinthians, Paul wrote this about the nature of the church. You are God's own building. God gave me the privilege of laying the foundation like a skilled master builder. Others put up the rest of the building. Let each of you take care how he builds. There can be no other foundation than the one which is already laid, of course. I mean, Jesus Christ himself. Well, that's an important passage because it speaks of the one thing which is really important about Christian faith. And that is that Christian faith is not a belief, not a set of creedal statements. Of course, there are very important creedal statements, but they're in a sense a witness to something else. It's not about a set of behaviours or a set of rituals. It's not even about a book. Christian faith is about a person, Jesus Christ, and our relationship with that person, the person with whom we talk, the person with whom we walk through life. When we talk to Jesus in prayer, when we invite him to give us courage or strength or hope or opportunity. And that's what faith is all about. It's not enough just to say, oh, I believe, and then pack our belief away in a drawer. Faith is about how we act on what our deepest convictions are when we try to do what Jesus invites us to do, when we act on our prayers and not just sit back and wait for God to do everything. So in our study this week, we're looking at the whole question of faith. What makes it real? How does faith count in the Christian journey? How do we as a church help other people to put their faith in the things which help us in life?
Diolch Esgob Gregory am atgoffa ni mae Iesu yw sylfaen ein ffydd ni.
Yeah, diolch, Bishop Gregory. Such a wonderful reminder there of the foundation of Jesus on which we are invited to build our whole lives together. But like so many other words, the word faith seems so simple until you begin to unpick what it actually means. It can mean different things to different people in different situations.
A clown rwan gan Jamper King ac Alison Evans o'r eglwysi yn Valley Crucis am beth mae ffydd yn golygu iddyn nhw.
So over to Jamper King and Alison Evans from the Valley Crucis mission area to explain to us what they think faith means to them.
Faith is the thing that helps me make sense of the world, and not just in terms of thinking, but in terms of feeling. It's where I find hope, and it's where I find, I suppose, hope for humanity in terms of how we could be and how we might be.
Mae ateb y cwestiwn yn anodd a deud y gwir, achos does na ddim byd penodol I fi yn deud beth ydy ffydd, Am wn i, mae o'n deimlad yn y galon, mae o'n rhywbeth yn y pen, a mae o'n rhywbeth sydd yn tyfu yn raddol, weithiau yn gyflym, weithiau yn ara deg iawn iawn, ond mae o'n debyg mewn ffordd i rhyw afon fach falle sydd yn rhedeg, yn cynyddu, yn arafu, yn stopio. Ac mae o'n newid o ddydd i ddydd, o wythnos i wythnos neu o fis i fis a deud y gwir. Un o'r pethau dwi'n meddwl sydd yn dylanwadu ydy profiadau bywyd. Da ni'n dod ar draws pethau lle da ni yn teimlo yn ofnus, teimlo'n hyderus, ac mae ffydd yn newid wedyn yn y ffordd da ni'n ymateb. Mae'n helpu ni ymateb. Weithiau dydy o ddim yn helpu ni ymateb achos da ni yn cwestiynu gormod. Mae'n ffydd i yn ffydd bersonol i fi. Dydy o ddim yn rhywbeth dwi'n gallu ddangos. Dwi'n gallu ddangos drwy y ffordd dwi'n ymddwyn o bosib, ond dydy o'n ddim byd concret lle dwi'n gallu deud dyma fy ffydd.
I'm not from a Christian background, not at all. In fact, Christianity was something I saw in very negative form for a long time. Then I got involved with Buddhism, and I was a very serious Buddhist for over a decade. I took bodhisattva vows, so vows of altruism, and then really looking about how that works in the world. How do I do this? It then led me to look how you do that and what examples of that I could find in the world. And I met Christians who really seemed to be that type of person. And they led me to looking at the Bible, to learn more about Jesus, and actually realizing that he'd been there all the time, that I just sort of couldn't see. It was like my eyes opened to something that had always been a strong thing for me and something I was looking for. But just before that time, it was, were the answers here? Were the answers there? Was this the truth? But I wasn't ready to actually, I suppose, properly open my eyes to it. I think I just didn't think Christianity was what it actually is. The way it's often portrayed in the media, I think the general perception of it within secular society doesn't really describe Christianity. It doesn't describe it as something of love and inclusion, of giving. I sort of believed a lot of the bad points in the history of the church, I think, really described what Christianity was. Something about power, something about control, when that's the very opposite. And the more I've studied the Bible, the more I've looked at theology, the more I've sat in church, the more I've been around Christians, the more I've realised just how wrong I was.
Dwi'n trio byw yn dda. Dwi'n trio dangos caredigrwydd, dwi'n trio dangos fy mod i'n barod i helpu bobl, dwi'n trio dangos fy mod i'n barod i wrando. Dydw i ddim yn honni o gwbl fy mod i yn gallu ateb cwestiynau pawb, ond dwi'n meddwl mae'r ffordd dwi'n byw fy mywyd gobeithio'n dangos i eraill fy mod i yn berson sydd yn driw ac yn onest ac yn barod i helpu. Dwi ddim yn meddwl bod fi'n gallu bod yn benodol yn deud dyma dwi'n neud sydd yn gwneud fi yn berson da. Dwi jyst yn gobeithio fy mod i'n dilyn ac yn dangos esiampl o ddydd i ddydd fy mod i yn trio fy ngorau felly.
Felly ar ôl gwrando ar Esgob Gregory, ar Jamper ac ar Alison, beth mae'r gair ffydd yn ei olygu i chi?
So having listened to the wonderful contributions that we've had from Bishop Gregory and Jamper and Alison, we're now going to consider that question, what does faith mean to us personally? You can pause the film now. It's time for our first discussion section, 15 minutes to discuss faith. And there'll be some questions on the screen to guide your conversations. Have a great discussion, and we'll see you back here in just a moment. One of the wonderful things about the Christian life is that we journey with people that are quite different from us. We will all know that from our churches and probably from our families as well. We are so different to one another. But on the whole, we find unity. We are united by similar beliefs and practices, and we hope that's begun to be drawn out in your discussions together.
Ac awn yn ôl rwan at Jamper ac Alison o Bala.
Os ydych chi'n edrych ar bob un ohono ni sy'n dod i'r eglwys, dyn ni gyd yn wahanol. Dyn ni gyd yn wahanol gefndiroedd, maint, dyn ni gyd yn wahanol oed. Ond dyn ni gyd yn bobl rywsut sydd yn dod at yn gilydd fel teulu. Dyn ni'n gymuned, dyn ni'n ffrindiau. Dyn ni'n mwynhau cwmni'n gilydd, a dyn ni'n ofalgar o'n gilydd, a dyn ni'n hoffi bod yng nghwmni'n gilydd, achos i ni gyd yn teimlo yn saff yng nghwmni'n gilydd.
Even when there's disagreement, even when there's a real diversity of views, you've got this central thing, you've got this model of Jesus. And if we're Christians, then actually we are looking towards that as an ideal. And I think having that to draw us together, so no matter who we're with and no matter how different we are, we've got that difference in common. We've got common humanity and the fact that I think as Christians, we want the world to be a better place. We want to be kind and we want to see kindness around us. Even when we get it wrong, which we do a lot, it's like that doesn't matter in a way because you know it will be met, at least eventually, with some kindness and some understanding, that we're on that path together.
Dyn ni gyd yma i addoli gyda'n gilydd ar gyfer pwrpas yr arglwydd Iesu Grist, felly. A dyn ni gyd mewn gwahanol leoedd, wrth gwrs, ar yn siwrne ffydd, ond un peth sy'n tynnu ni gyd at yn gilydd yw'r ffaith bod ni'n credu yn yr un peth. Dyn ni'n credu mewn cariad a'i ddangos at ei gilydd, a dyn ni yn addoli gyda'n gilydd, felly ein Duw a'n gwaredwr ni, lle.
People being Christians are going to actually appreciate the model of this person who spent their life caring for others, who gave their life up for everyone, no matter how bad they were, gave their life up for all of us, and accepted the tax collectors and the prostitutes and all the people who the temple were telling him you shouldn't, to the extent that it led to his death, being a troublemaker. But within that, being somebody who actually, you can see the love at the centre of it. And I think that's the thing, putting love at the centre, putting kindness, putting inclusion, working towards that example, but understanding we're not perfect and that it's a journey.
Wel, y pethau mwyaf cyffredin fyswn ni'n deud ydy bod ni'n dysgu caru'n gilydd a bod ni'n derbyn pawb fel ag y maen nhw. Does gennym ni ddim rhagfarn i fod yn erbyn neb, na teimlo yn bod ni'n well na bobl eraill, na teimlo bod bobl eraill ddim cystal â ni. Dwi'n meddwl bod hwnna'n un o'r pethau mawr i ni ddysgu mewn bywyd yn gyffredinol a deud y gwir, yn bod ni yn caru'n gilydd ac yn derbyn yn gilydd fel i ni ac yn helpu'n gilydd ar hyd y ffordd fel yn bod ni gyda'n gilydd yn gallu tyfu mewn ffydd.
The more time you spend with the Bible, the more time you spend actually in church and talking to other people of faith, it's people develop, people get kinder, people have got a context to do that within. In a way, that discomfort sometimes keeps it alive. If everything just seemed perfect, then, well, we're already there. It's like it's all part of the learning, it's part of that journey of faith. It feels to me very much that Christianity is a path. It's not a destination you're already at. It's not, I'm Christian, therefore I'm perfect. It's, I'm Christian, therefore I'm walking on a path that I think is the right path towards being a better person and towards something that's really about, is about love.
Some wonderful wisdom there from Jamper and Alison. And some wonderful words. The more time we spend with the Bible, with Jesus and in church, the more we are led, changed and transformed.
Be ydych chi'n meddwl sy'n uno ni fel pobl? Fel esgoffodd Esgob Gregory iddyn ni'n gynharach, Iesu yw'r person sydd yn canolog, yr peth sy'n canolog i bob dim.
So what do you think unites us? As Bishop Gregory reminded us gloriously earlier, the person of Jesus is a powerful unifier and an example to us all. But what would you say are the things that we have in common? What are those elements of our life and our belief that keep us together as one under Christ? You can pause the film now. It's time for your next section of discussion. 15 minutes to discuss and develop these themes together in your groups. And you can use these questions on the screen to help your conversations. Have a great discussion again, and we'll see you back in just a moment.
Gobeithio'n eich bod wedi mwynhau y sesiwn yma. Wedi i chi wrando ar eich gilydd, mae'n debygol ei fod yn amlwg pan defnyddion y gair ffydd, mae'n golygu peth gwahanol i bobl wahanol.
Yeah, we really hope you've enjoyed the session. We hope your discussions have been rich. We hope you've been encouraged and challenged as you have gone through this session today. And as you've listened to each other, it probably has become apparent that when you use the word faith, it means different things to different people. For some, the word faith might refer to central beliefs that hold us together, the life, teaching, death and resurrection of Christ being the central one to the church, or even the church as we know it, its worship, its practices and its teaching. For others, the word faith might mean something deeply personal, rooted in their own particular journey. We talked about stories in our first session and the way they've come to understand themselves, God and the world. For others, the word faith might be a call to action. It is what we do as a result of our shared calling. It's the positive impact we make to the life of others, the church or the world. And in a sense, each of those understandings rings true, doesn't it? We have faith because people have helped our journey of exploration. We have faith because we've found something liberating and life-enhancing in the person of Jesus. We have faith, or we grow in faith, because we have journeyed with other Christians and have been nurtured and inspired by the worship, the practices and the teaching of the church. And together our faith does encourage us and inspire us to reach out and make a difference to those around us.
A mae hyn I gyd yn rhywbeth rydym am edrych ar yn fwy yn y sesiwn nesaf, wrth cysidro gobaith a newid.
This is something we will explore in our third session when we consider hope and the expectation of change. But for now, we're going to close our second session with prayer. Gwyddion, let us pray together.